Since June 1976, no other sector of the South African population has enjoyed as much visibility as its youth. From the streets of the townships to the university campuses, in politics, social and economic sectors, youth have been in the spotlight. Tonight, we discuss youth and values. Have they changed from the good old days? We'll talk to 3 young people and 3 adults. Nazir, you said to me over the phone, old people are just old-fashioned. You parents are just old-fashioned. Why do you say so?
Because I think their parents sort of don't understand where the kids are coming from and don't try and understand. It's because they have their own sort of ideas about things and how they should be, and they sort of set in them and stuck in them. And I think that they should be able to compromise and say, you know, I'm going to try and understand what my kids are trying to say, and I'm going to try and understand their value systems as well.
But what do you think of values? Many say that youth's values have really deteriorated.
Felicia, I won't say that they've deteriorated. I mean, morality is idiosyncratic. It changes all the time. Values change all the time.
Big word there, Nazir.
Big word, yeah. I mean, values change all the time. Those are things that change all the time, and it's something that you have to accommodate. I mean, I don't think you could say that those values have deteriorated.
Dr. Newberry, let me ask you. You heard what this young man says. I mean, we're seeing sex before marriage today. Agree? Values have changed? Have they deteriorated?
I think there's been a really significant deterioration in the values of society, certainly in this century. And in our country, precipitately, increasingly at a speed which has outrun the whole of societal norms. In other words, if we just look at some of the indices, we look at venereal diseases, now out of control. 10 to 14% of our young people are infected with the HIV virus. We look at things like marital breakdown. We look at child abuse. We look at drug abuse. We look at rape. We look at violence. We look at crime. Now, all of these indices of society indicate to us that we are, at present, a very sick society. And I disagree that... I've got some fans.
You have the adults who are on your side, and their kids are saying,
Well, I don't agree, because I think our young people are beginning to see the futility of a lifestyle which leads them to death and destruction.
I just want to say that all of those things that you've spoken about have always been there. I mean, okay, for example, AIDS, it's this century and stuff. For an example, okay, syphilis was a major sexual disease in the 18th century, 19th century and stuff like that. And I don't think people said it's because we are a sick society, stuff like that. I mean, in terms of what you're saying, all those which you would term immoral, right? Those things were always, well, were pre-Christian, before Christianity came about. And then Christianity came about and stuff, and so, okay, this is immoral, that's wrong, and brought its own moral and value system into being. And it's just because people are deviating from their Christian norm that I think you see society is very sick.
Well, you are downside for a big one today. Wait. Linda, do you think that things have changed from the good old days to today?
Definitely they have. And I'd like to also disagree with what
Dr. Newberry.
Dr. Newberry was saying, because we must realize that culture and values and norms are not static. They're things that change over time. So you can't exactly expect the youth of today to be exactly as conservative as the youth was in the past, because I think that some of our parents are also very conservative, and they want to impose their conservative ideas onto us. For example...
But aren't those the conservative ideas that have made them what they are today?
Which is what?
Which is
exactly
not
what?
going out until you're 21 years old and you have your own key.
Felicia,
Wait, let's hear, Sis Linda. I mean, you brought me up. You brought me up. Yeah.
It is exactly the same thing when you say our values were so good. I wouldn't have children talking back to me like that, especially in open like that. I'm saying now the problem is
children should
discipline. Discipline, the value of discipline is out. And this is why I say the old values of discipline must come back so that we're able to discipline our children. They should be as nice as we are.
Well, in the past, youth and children were not allowed to really question authority and their parents.
Kids had to be seen and not heard.
Yes, and now
Which
it's the other way
seems like a good
around.
one for
It's
me.
the other way around because now we can express ourselves and our ideas. And our parents, I don't know, it's almost as if they're intimidated by it.
Okay, Felicia, it is exactly the change in that now children should be seen and heard, that Dr. Newbery can cite all these immoral changes in society. Because before it was children could only be seen and not heard. So you never heard about child abuse, you never heard about sexual abuse. You had parents...
I'm trying to get to the whole... I know that I need to get to you, but let's say, Kali, your impressions?
I think that adults must realise that children have something to contribute to society as well. Without the contribution of children, we wouldn't be where we are today, and I don't think it's such a bad society. It's adjusted, but it's not so bad. It's as bad as it was 20, 30 years ago.
Can religion play a part?
Are you
Reverend
asking me?
Ludovic? Yeah.
Yes, it can, but let me first of all say that Nazim did say that old people don't understand, so I can't respond to him because I'm not old. Some of the others who suggested that some of the adults don't understand, maybe there are some who don't understand. I believe that change is not of necessity wrong and or bad. And there are some things that obviously had to change. If you take our history where we come from, and especially the masses of our young people where they have come from in this country, then some things had to change. Some of the things that they had to do and stand up for, they had to, in some cases, they even had to be rebellious with regards to certain laws and things that they are. In some cases, even to their parents. But I do not believe that everything that is changing should necessarily be for what is wrong. I believe that when you change for something that is good. And if you change, you bring along with you the things that has been proven to be good and good values. You sort it out, you see which is good, take it along with you. And if there's any good in today, you take that along with you and you make the best out of that.
We put the adults one side and the young people one side. It looks like we're in for a debate here tonight. According to the Human Science Research Council, 62% of the South African population is under the age of 30 and 45% is under the age of 17 rather. Youth are the majority. Have values changed? Let's hear some more from the young people. Yes, you...
I think it's wrong for parents to isolate children and say, you're wrong, society's corrupt. I think parents are failing. Children come from somewhere. If they have a lack in values, it's because their parents didn't teach them. So the core is not the children, it's the parents. So you shouldn't you should stop blaming children and look as to how you are raising the children, how you are raising such a corrupt society.
We're trying to look at three areas here. We're looking at race relations. We're going to be looking at race relations, the role of the media, and self-esteem of our young people. Sis Lindy, I was reading an article recently, and it's Charles Mohale. He writes, "We black South Africans are sitting idly by while our children are breaking every law in the book of decency. We are taking the easy cop-out of blaming apartheid for it. True or false?"
I think this is very, very true. To blame, like the young person said, the blame is back on us parents. But now the problem is the situation where we are at. Our children are so far advanced from us in our culture, for instance. Where are our young people? They don't even understand the culture at home. Because of the situation that we have, we're not able to guide the children in the right way, in the right place, because where are they? They're in the movies, or they're on TV, or they are out in the street, that kind of a situation.
But they have changed. I mean, today they are the junior city mayor. Is that what you call? Junior mayor. Tell us, what do you think of what you're talking about? I don't remember you guys were junior city mayors at that age.
Well, I think we always talk about freedom of expression and freedom of speech, but then you complain about discipline. If we taught that we must be freedom of speech, then let us speak.
Any adult wants to talk here? Let's hear from the adults. Okay. Have we failed our children?
I think I would agree with the young lady here. We need to really understand what values are when we're talking about values. Values are changeless. They are principles in life. It's something that does not change. Taking responsibility about your life does not change. Being proactive does not change. Being responsible for the results and the consequences of your behavior does not change. Whether it was in 1976 or it was in 1996, basic values do not change. And us as parents have got that responsibility to instill in our children values of respect, values of appreciation, and values of love for one another. It's got nothing to do with apartheid. It's got nothing to do with color. It's got everything to do with humanity. It's got everything to do with Ubuntu.
I was expecting her to come with a belt too at that point. Felicia. But anyway, after the break, we'll continue further. Race relations and continue to talk. Are parents old-fashioned? The new South Africa and changes in society are providing our young people with new opportunities to redefine their values, especially in the area of race relations. Are you getting along with each other at school? What do you think about what your parents used to tell you about race relations? Are you any different from your parents? Let's hear it. Wait 1 second, let me get to you. Mm-hmm.
Things have definitely changed because, I mean, we mix in schools and we have something called the Junior City Council. There's black people, white people, we all mix. We don't see the difference between black and white. What our parents saw, we don't see. We're just all human beings. So there definitely is a change.
Race relations, but when you look at what's happening on campuses, then you say, no, it looks like it's not quite changed.
Okay, but before I speak about that, I just want to go back to what these two ladies said, that you cannot blame apartheid. How can't you blame apartheid? It's exactly because of apartheid that families were disrupted, that families sort of lost their value system because of the brutalization of the system. How can we not blame apartheid? No, wait.
Wait.
No, it's not a thing about living in the past. We have to identify what the problems are. How can you not blame apartheid?
Society. I was disfranchised in the apartheid side, but I can't keep looking back.
It's no
use we're going to go back. We're not going to go anywhere further, my friend.
I don't think it's about looking back and not going towards the future and stuff. I'm saying that how can you say it's not because of apartheid that things are the way they are now? We are still suffering from those effects of apartheid, and we have to identify them to correct them. And you can't say, let's not speak about apartheid. I mean, come on, values and stuff, morality, the fact that in the past, white people were always put up on these pedestals made to look beautiful, the fact that black kids now want to emulate white kids, the fact that black kids are losing their identity because they want to be white.
True. I mean, why do black people want to be white? I don't want to be white.
I'm speaking about the effects of apartheid. That's exactly what I'm speaking about.
Yes, somebody talk.
To a certain extent, I mean...
Wait, let him talk.
To a certain extent, we grew up and, like, our parents taught us to you must learn how to speak English. And we went to private schools where when you got to the school, I couldn't speak like an African language with my fellow African. I had to speak English because why? It's very unfair that it was the media, but you must understand that because we had to be put in a way where we had to emulate white people, most of us grew up thinking that they were better than us.
But
Exactly.
there's some truth here, because you go, I met this gentleman walking with his child in the mall, and I tried to speak Zulu to the child, and the child whispered something to the father, and the father says, he says he cannot understand Zulu. I said, oh,
Exactly.
What is happening? What is happening?
Exactly, and the fact that we have so many South Africans, young South Africans, who are like into this groove of being American and kind of stuff because it's so cool, man. I mean, that whole thing, because we don't have role models in our own country. We have to look at the States. We have to look at Whitney Houston. We have to look at Babyface. We have to look at all those American artists and then try and emulate them now.
Let's hear from the other members of the panel. Linda?
Actually, just to go back to what that guy was saying, I disagree with you, because if you want to move forward and there were mistakes made in the past, you have to rectify those mistakes before you can move forward.
Exactly, you have to rectify them.
And you're agreeing, Reverend Lodvir?
Yes, I believe it's important to rectify those mistakes, but I believe that once you've rectified, you've got to move from there. Now, some of us who are adults here have probably suffered more under apartheid than some of the younger generation. Some have only heard about it. But some of us are real victims of the Group Areas Act and every single other act that there was. But if it was that everybody just sort of hid his head somewhere and did not hang on to some of those precious values, we probably would not have had leaders today to lead us. So I'm saying to you, yes, there is something in our past that we cannot hide from, but we must not be tied from it. We must try as soon as we can to untie ourselves, always remember it so we don't go back to it, but move forward.
I'd like to just hear from young people. How are you feeling race relations on campuses? I heard that when some of the black kids hang around with white kids, the black kids say, oh, you want to be white. And when it's vice versa, the white kids say, oh, you want to be black. So it looks like there is some tension still, even on campuses. Let's hear it.
I think basically on campuses, yes, you will find people, you find the white group here, the black group here, and whatnot. Because at the end of the day, we are different. We have to acknowledge that we're different. And you like to hang around with people who are the same as you. The problem comes in when you cannot accept people who are different from you. So I think you can't really say race relations, look at people, they're not black and white in one group. If you don't like a person, you don't like a person, whether they be black or white. You like someone who is like you.
Mm-hmm. Well, the kids are talking here. Dr. Newberry?
Felicia, I would like to say that, you know, agreeing with the lady across there, values are universal. No society can deregulate values and hope then to maintain a decent society. Any society that has, through the long history of mankind, attempted to devalue morality has fallen. And if you just read the lessons of history, that is quite so. And the difference between, for example, our black South Africans and our white South Africans is not really, the differences are superficial. Underneath it all are the common values of all society, are the common values of all mankind. In other words, those things that come about from natural law and from reason that make us live in a society, helping each other, loving one another, and regulating that society in a way that civilization can be maintained. I also believe it's no good to go around blaming parents for one's own personal responsibilities and defects.
But you are responsible for them. We are responsible for them.
I mean, we are to a degree because the environment in which we give them. But as we parents ourselves, our young people don't seem to realize how much we really love them. And the things that parents try to do for their children are to preserve them from harm. They want them to grow up in a way that they can go through life without being hurt and without being damaged, without getting VD, without getting pregnant out of wedlock, without getting divorced, without going into drugs. Now, these are real concerns of parents.
There's seething there. There's seething.
I just want to say, okay, that the earliest forms of socialization occurs in the family, okay? And in terms of the family's role, for example, with regards to female children, what I'm trying to say is that the family actually propagates inequality, okay, which we see in a broader society, like, for example, where girls are not supposed to do certain things that guys are supposed to do.
He's characterizing some families. He's specifying some families.
But
he might have grown up in a family like that.
I'm not specifying certain families.
Girls have to wash the dishes while the boys sit in the bedroom reading papers.
Exactly, and I mean, in terms of the roles that women have in society, it is exactly because the family.
But women are different. You have to admit there's a difference. And if you don't see
the difference is superficial.
If you don't see that difference, you're quite blind.
Linda, you're going to leave them.
Pardon?
Vive la difference.
In terms of civilization, you spoke about civilization. I mean, who determines the standards and who sets the standards for civilization? Is it civilization from a white perspective?
No, don't keep bringing in this white thing, because you're on a real trip about persecuting people who happen to be white.
No.
Now, don't let's do that.
No.
You're bringing apartheid and white
not
into every sentence you use.
But
we're in a new South Africa. Let's move away.
Oh, you see,
No, but then you cannot.
That is exactly what I can't understand.
But you cannot.
All of a sudden, we live in a new South Africa.
And
I mean, really, it's a new
because
South
I think
Africa.
that what has happened. Actually, I want to agree with Nazir was saying about socialization first starting when you're at home with your family, because that's where you first get socialized. And they are, even in schools, because boys and girls are encouraged to take certain subjects. Like girls take home economics and even the sports that you play. The girls play netball and you name it, and the boys play rugby.
Do you really want them to play rugby, the girls?
Yes, because
Yes.
Okay, let's hear them
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it.
Would they be able to compete with the boys?
No, it's not about being able to compete
But
with
that's
them.
a rough game.
Because I used to play soccer.
After the break, we're going to find out whether girls should play rugby or not. I'm joking. But after the break, we'd like to talk about media and the influence of media on music and our youth's values. Studies indicate that the media plays an important role in young people, especially radio and television. What influences are we getting from them? The country has more than 12 million people aged between ages 13 and 25 years. There is a strong influence of American rap music and American dress. Even accents have changed to African-American accents. Are we losing identity?
Yeah.
So you say what has changed?
I say morals have not changed. Times has changed. In our parents' time, you never used to get 10-year-olds coming home telling you about sex. But today, you get your 10-year-old brothers who know more about what your parents know. So times have changed, not morals.
Sound like
it. About morals.
What do you think? Let's hear from you young people here. Okay.
With time comes change, and this time has brought us media today. We have rap in this country. It's here, we are listening to it. And to bring the parents and the children together, let us listen to our rap.
But the rap is vulgar.
No, let us listen to it.
Yeah.
We have the right of choice. But let's us as children try and bring in our parents' values, such as respect. Let us use it correctly, and then we'll see that it will compromise.
You heard your mother. Let's hear. Do you agree with what your mother was saying?
Well, partly. First of all, I think why parents, their children don't listen to them. No, I never. What I'm saying is parents need to teach instead of discipline. And me, I like hip-hop. I listen to it. Why? Because during the time I was growing up, I wouldn't listen to bubblegum music because I thought it was nonsense. So I switched to hip-hop because they were saying something real. That's why. Thanks.
is vulgar. Ubabu Jole next door. Oh, let me tell you what this means. Let me tell you. The song says, my father has an affair with the lady next door. The kids say, it is true, these things do happen. Oh, no. You guys, they say, Nijole next door. You have, are you really doing that? And your children are saying this? And next door. Let me hear you. Ujole next door.
Well, I must say I'm a very modern mother. I go out with my kids, I enjoy life with them, and at the end of the day, what makes me more happy, they also listen to rap, but what makes me happy when I go to school and the teacher says to me, I don't need to complain about your children. What makes me very happy. The thing is this, why I'm saying so, I like the song Felicia was singing now, because my father made me believe that whenever he was with a woman, it was either his niece, his cousin, his sister.
Hey, are you
and I'm telling you,
your father was joining next door?
and I'm telling you, I was married for 17 years, and I went through a divorce because I trusted my husband, because I trusted my father, and when it came to the worst, now I'm starting to hate men, and which is very wrong. So parents, please, agree with your kids today.
We are hearing the reality. So people have been saying that song is not good, it's not right. There's another one.
It's true.
It's honest.
It's true. It's true.
But the song, let's say that one is a fact, it's honest. But there's this other one, which is really vulgar, and I'm not going to say it here. But folks, the songs are not right. Yes. You guys, the songs are misleading you. Reverend Ludwig?
When you're talking about the media in this issue, I think sometimes the media conveys the impression that most parents are anti-youth. And it's not really the case. I'm a parent. I'm responsible for 4 young people that's around somewhere. No, I know where they are. And they're the pride of my life. They're my joy. I'm completely pro-youth, but pro-youth that trust and believe in those values that we have not only taught them, as one lady has mentioned, but also set the example to it. The thing here that the media always gives the impression out there that all parents are sort of old-fashioned. They don't believe that the youth should have a good time. I believe that the youth should be having a good time, but there are limits to that. Let me just say, when you're talking... For instance, you're talking about the music. And it's not the matter whether it is now opera or whether it's rap. It's the message that it conveys. Yeah. I have a younger son who is 23 years old, and he is the joy of my life. He raps, but the message in the raps that he brings, I can listen to and agree to. To me, it's the message in the music.
Let me just get another parent before I get to you.
Yes, Felicia, we are now at the stage of transformation. As John Kiwi puts it, he says, parents, be here. Children, be here. We have to work together, be there at the same time, work at the same pace. But somewhere along, our youth is losing the hang of it. They are actually abusing their freedom. Youth, what do we have to do to convince you that we are there for you?
Abusing. What do we... And that's a loaded question there. What do we have to convince you we are there for you? They say before they used to say, parents, do you know where your children are? Now they're saying, children, do you know where your parents are?
To convince us that you're really here for us. I mean, if every time we're going to do something, you don't trust us, you say, no, because you're a girl, you can't do this. You might end up falling pregnant or something like that. If there isn't trust, trust is a two-way street. You've got to trust us if you want us to trust you.
Wait. Mary, Kali, is that how you feel?
Yes, I do. I agree, Felicia. I think that respect is a mutual thing, and this is about respect. I think that in order to respect a parent or an adult, a teacher, a role model, that person has to respect you as well, and that you have to be given the opportunity, and you have to respect, and it's all about society. It's not about blaming youth or blaming parents.
Dr. Newberry?
Felicia, you know, one of the things about violence, there's unquestioned evidence now that television has been a great promoter of violence. It also has been a great promoter of promiscuity, of value-free sex, instant sexual copulation without responsibility. You never see the broken hearts. And that lady up there who was talking about her father, which I was very sad to hear. But the point about it is, why was she objecting to what her father and husband did if they were doing things that were acceptable? They were not. And what she was trying to say is she was hurt because the values, the norm of society that should be the norm was being broken. The other thing about people saying, oh, trust me, young people say, trust me. But yes, you wouldn't say that, for example, to a medical student who'd never done an operation. Say, look, trust me to do it. You've got to have the training, you've got to have the discipline, you've got to have the background, you've got to have the responsibility, and then your professor will trust you to do the operation. Once he has seen your track record in this, you don't run a company by just moving in and saying, trust me.
After the break, we're going to talk about self-esteem and black identity. Is it really fizzling away with the new South Africa? After the break, we will talk. Philip, how did it all start?
In the beginning, it was friends, group pressure, then peer pressure, and then it just like became a habit, you know. Start doing it for my own satisfaction.
Take us back to the times when you were taking drugs.
I took the things, and it made me feel good about myself, you know. I started thinking for myself. There's always someone else thinking for you, you know, and drugs just play a different influence on your life, and it makes you think different than other people. That's why so many drug addicts, not addicts or, you know, people that use drugs, like break away from civilized people. Like
we talked earlier, you feel that you're responsible for what happened to Philip.
Yeah, I never paid the attention. I never had the time for my kids, and I don't know. I just feel I'm the guilty one because I was so wound up in my own relationship with a man that I've put my kids aside, and I think Philip just took the wrong road.
Elna, how did you discover that Philip was on drugs?
In the beginning, Philip always had a bleeding nose, and I thought, oh, sure, my kid is sick, you know, he's going to get a bad flu. But I never thought, and he was like always sleeping, he was never eating, he had this bad temper. But anyway, and this child just started to get, his temper was like boiling already, and we started to fight.
So violence becomes an issue?
No, I was like, I'm very quiet, you know, I'm a very quiet person. But I have my mood swings, you know, I've got a very short temperature.
Yeah, the temper, it was definitely there, 24 hours a day.
Are you still taking him for drug counseling?
Since I've done that, I just feel that the relationship between me and my son is much better.
How long have you been off drugs now?
I don't know if I really stopped, you know. Okay, I've stopped for a while now, for 4 months now. I'm clean, I haven't done anything.
My dream, Philip, is to see you go back to school.
No, he's going to college. He's going to study further next year. I'm going to put my foot down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Alma. Thank you. Thank you. We're talking to young people and their parents. Have values changed? Is the media playing an important role in changing values? Let's hear.
I represent children and violence in South Africa, and I truly believe that programs like The Bold and the Beautiful are teaching our youth totally wrong morals. One in three of our girls is sexually abused today. How many of you boys in this audience are prepared to marry a damaged woman? Because that is what's going to happen.
Or
and you may
man.
never know, but it's mostly girls. 90% are girls. You may never know because she's going to hide it physically, but you might have problems in your marriage later. and found that it all relates back to sexual abuse, because I don't think our morals are right in this country. And boys, it's up to you, your brothers, your uncles, your fathers. These are the abusers. What are you doing about it for your generation of women?
Yeah.
I would like to know if we want to ban Bold and the Beautiful, then shouldn't we ban Tom and Jerry also, because Jerry's is violent towards Tom?
I think that it is imperative that we protect children from pornography and stuff. I mean, because we're looking at, like, according to the UN Convention and stuff, children should be protected from pornography because it has negative effects on children, and that children shouldn't be used in pornography as well. But in terms of the Bold and Beautiful, I'm not sure, because I mean...
But Felicia, that's a gentleman who said there were no values. Now he's saying...
I didn't say that there weren't any values.
He said there were no values.
I think the problem is that you're questioning
He said
my
nothing
value
is good
system.
and nothing is really wrong. And society changes all the time, and now all of a sudden
Felicia,
he brings forward a report saying that pornography is bad.
What did you say Dr. Newberry said before the break?
Well, Dr. Newberry has just said that it's fine to live in a male-dominated society. It's fine to live in a patriarchal society. I disagree with things like that.
That's not what I said.
I didn't say that youth don't have values.
No,
I said that values change.
Previously, you said values were of no value.
I did.
You said that.
Did I say that?
Okay, let's hear another one.
I just have to say to anyone that thinks that this country doesn't have any role models, I think our president, the president of this country, is not only a role model to the youth of this country. I think that he's not only a role model to the youth of this country, I think he's a role model to youth of the whole world. And I also think that how can the older generation shun the music of today when their music, when they were young, rock and roll, was shunned by the older generation there?
Let me get one or two more adults, but I want the young people to talk. This is their show. They're just coming to tell you guys to chill out a little bit. They say you guys are just old-fashioned. Chill out.
Yeah, Felicia, I think what I'd like to say is that, where there's a relationship involved, there's always two parties involved, and there'll always be misunderstanding. And I think the youth, what I find in the youth as an educator and as a parent, is the intolerance of the youth. You know, I know my children regard me as having one foot in the grave already. And, and whatever opinions or views I have...
Are they here? Are your children here?
Yes, one is here. But I think what is important here, is that in a relationship, people need to communicate. And the same with parents and children. I think we need to sit down and realize that both of us have problems. We need to sit down and try to understand each other. And only that way can we come and resolve and really talk to each other.
Okay. Slindy? Wait, let me first hear. Where are your children? Who's the children? Your mother's one foot is already in the grave, huh?
Yeah, I guess all children feel that their parents' foot are in the grave already. But
I know when I tell my child I'm 29, she says, "Oh, you're old."
You're 29. What I actually like to say is I'd like to the doctor. What he was talking about the morality. And I'd like to agree with Nazir there, because he said morality is based, what is morality of South Africa based on nowadays? Before it was based on the Christian value system. And now, I mean, what we South Africans, we all aren't Christians. What are we supposed to base our morals on nowadays?
Dr. Levek?
Felicia, I believe that we hold on to that which is good. As far as I'm concerned, Christian values has served me well. And it has served millions very, very, very well.
Okay, I need to close up now. Let me just I'm going to get few people, and then I need the people on the panel who are your representatives to say something. Quick comment.
I can tell you exactly why parenting of today is inefficient. It's because parents make it so obvious that they're scared of the youth. They make it so obvious that they're scared of the literacy of the youth, of the streetwise intellect of the youth. That is why.
Hey, parents! Sorry. Parents, let us admit, we did not talk like this before. We could not talk like this. Let me just get one more parent, and I'm coming to you guys. You say it when you close up, okay?
Easy for the youth today to say yes, the parents are scared for them. But who made the parents scared for them? I can support my child in anything he does in life. his sport, his education, his future. But I'm not going to support my child running around on campus, burning down buildings, and I've got to pay for it for the next generation to be educated.
Okay, I need to sum up. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do another program later on with young people again. Really, we need to do more programs with young people. These young people are trying to move on with their lives. Let us admit it, parents. They are brighter than what we were. Let's just give it to them. Wait, and they debate better than we did. I mean, the Nazirs and the young ladies here, I'm telling you, let us admit that one. But they are abusing, possibly, they are abusing their right. Okay, let me hear your final words. Your final words, 30 seconds.
I think it's very important to realize that parents should stop exposing their experience on us. We will only learn through our own experience. Then you will trust us if you can see that we are people within ourselves. You cannot expose yourselves onto us. It's that simple.
Yours?
I think it's a question of knowing your identity, knowing of who you are. And yes, you must know your history, because I think if you don't know your history, then you're doomed to relive the mistakes of your past.
That gentleman there was speaking about how Christianity will... I think it's very wrong that people think that you must overimpose your beliefs on somebody else. I've got the right to choose whatever I want to believe.
I would just like to say, I think parents should trust what they teach their children, and they must also learn that if a baby puts his hand on a hot plate, he's going to learn that he mustn't do that again. And they've got to trust us.
But is that not too late after the girl is pregnant for one?
But you're going to learn. You learn by experience, and that is really.
Aren't they trying to make sure that you have less mistakes?
Yes, they're trying to help us. But just wait. Let me say something.
The way that parents go about teaching kids is wrong.
I need to close. I really need to close. Your last words, 30 seconds.
How are you going to know that it burns?
Felicia, I think that...
Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear it. They say children want to be our parents. Let's hear it. Okay, let's close. All right.
Felicia, I think that we have to... I think that we have to be given a chance to be heard like we have today. And I think parents need to understand where we're coming from before they can make accusations. I really do.
Linda?
Okay, there was that lady over there. She was saying that how they used to respect their parents and how we don't have respect. It's not a matter of respect. We still do respect our parents. I respect my parents. It's just that we express ourselves more, and we are more vocal than you could be in the past, because you conformed more to authority than we do.
She says
and we question.
She says they're a society of stars.
I just want to say...
Wait, let Nazir talk. Okay.
I just want to say that values and morality is a personal thing. I have certain values, and I think that I have to respect other people for the values that they have, right? Second of all, I want to say that we need to be true to ourselves, okay? That we should sort of know who we are, develop our own identities. We don't need to go about cloning Americans and other people. We have to, and in order to develop those identities, we need to get in touch with our roots, and we need to know who we are.
Look at the shoes you're wearing. They look like some American shoes that I've seen.
But Felicia, in terms of that's superficial. I mean, me wearing American shoes or British shoes. The fact is, I know who I am. I don't have to. That I don't need to wear traditional clothes to show who I am, but as long as I know who I am, and that I don't have and that I haven't internalized an American persona and stuff, because I don't sit here and go, yo man, this is what's happening, this is what's up, you know, stuff like that.
Okay.
I just think that we need to be true to ourselves, that we are South Africans, and I think we need to be more tolerant. And in terms of the show today, I think that the youth were silenced once more. Once again, I mean, for example, look at all the people sitting here, screaming at us, telling us that we don't have values and stuff like that. It's sad. And in terms of the audience...
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. Nazir, I have a job for you. You're going to be a good DJ. You can rap very well. I heard you.
Felicia, much of what we heard here today just shows us that there is definitely a breakdown in communication in many of the family homes. There are parents that are accusing some of the youth, and there are youth accusing some of the parents. Some are discussing things here which they have never discussed at home.
That's right.
And that is really the place where we should be discussing, where we should be asking the questions, where we should be helping. Yes, you want to give the young people an opportunity to learn for themselves, but love for your children always encourages and motivates you to be able to try and look ahead and say, do it your way, but just watch out because there are dangers ahead. Finally, let me just say that with regards to the identity, I want to say, yes, we must not forget where we come from. But in our present-day society, South Africa, I believe that we need to look for a broader identity to be identified as South Africans so that we can heal the chasms that exist today.
Felicia, I think it's very important that we meet today here with our children. We meet here and find each other because we really have lost our children and they have lost us. And it is forums like this that should help us, empower us to form a community. We don't have a community of children, a community of parents, so that we're able to move together. The whole world is looking into South Africa to answer the problems of the world. And we need to find those answers, and we need to teach the whole world. We have a beautiful culture. South Africa is full of everybody. It is the United Nations of the whole world. If we are going to be tied down in our dividedness, we'll be so fragmented, we'll not be able to answer the question and the problems. First, our family problems, our community problems at large, and even our government problems, because as it is, we have put the government, and it is in forums like this where we need to say who we are and what kind of government we want, what kind of country we want, what kind of a people we are. And this we need to teach the whole world. And thanks for bringing us together. And I do hope we'll pick up a few things. Especially the line of communicating who we are, what we are, and how we communicate. We've had so many good things coming from young people, but the way they say it, it actually closes our ears instead of opening our ears. We need to learn how we communicate with each other.
Okay. Dr. Newberry, finally.
I believe that the whole issue is really not an issue of alienation based on a division between young people and old people on the basis of age or relationship. It really is an alienation on the basis of moral values. And any society that abandons moral values has no chance of surviving. No society. And so anybody who says, my values are different to yours, my culture is different to yours, my ideas are different to yours, that's fine, provided there are certain fundamental issues that all great religions have sustained and maintained. For example, prohibition of murder, prohibition of theft, prohibition of adultery, of sexual fornication. Now, all of these values have been robbed from our young people by the social engineers of this society, the Hollywoods, and others. Okay. And we, as a society, if we want to get South Africa together, we must base South Africa in the future on moral values. And these moral values are universal to all mankind.
Yes, Dr. Newberry, and also for womankind. For all of us, a new country provides a shot at redefining our values and identities for the good of our young people. Happily, the headlines reflect hope in today's youth. Quote, young people of all races share dreams. All is not lost for South Africa's young people. Teens have their feet on the ground, so we should be thankful for that. Thanks for tuning in. And now for Margaret singing Worthy.
Sexual harassment. Parents of gay children. Have you ever been harassed sexually? Is your child homosexual? If you have opinions on any of these topics, share your thoughts with Felicia. If you want to join our studio audience, phone us on 011 482 6013. You may also send your comments to FMS Productions, P.O. Box 29896, Melville 2109.